Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bees Buzz with your host, Steve Dunley, and his co-host, G. Hikes. We'll be right back after this to wrap up another week of Bruins hockey here right away. We'll be right back. We are back, and my co-host G. Hikes will cover the last 2 or 3 games with the Bruins. I'm sorry, G. Hikes. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was different. We actually visited my son out in Springfield, and we ended up staying overnight, too, as well. We actually went to, for the first time, we went to a restaurant for Thanksgiving. We went to the Munich House in Chicopee. And it was funny. I went in there and everything was, everything was all in German. But unfortunately,
everything down there is German.
The people didn't speak German inside, though. But I had 3 years of German in high school, right? So I kept on saying, like, Danke schön, or I'd say, das Essen schmeckt ausgezeichnet, which means the food tastes very good. And my wife turns around to me and she goes, but you knock it off. She goes, they don't speak German here. And I said, hey, listen. I said, I had 3 years of German in high school.
I'm going to use it.
And it says the Munich House. I said, I've got to use it for something, so I'm using it here. I don't care. You know? But anyways, my son works at a TV station out there, so he gave us the tour of the TV station and stuff like that. It was kind of like the same version of this studio, except it was on steroids.
Yes, a lot of steroids.
But anyways, but speaking of Thanksgiving, I guess it was a good Thanksgiving for the Bruins because the Bruins, traditionally 75% of the teams that are in first place on Thanksgiving make the playoffs, and the Bruins are holding 6th place in the conference on Thanksgiving Day. So that's a pretty good sign. Bruins started off the week by playing the Penguins earlier in the week. Marc-André Fleury made 27 saves, and Evgeny Malkin scored his second goal of the game 32 seconds into OT to give the Bees a 3-2 victory over the Bruins on that Monday night. Me and my son were at the game, and I'll tell you what, as soon as Malkin scored that goal, which was very, very quick into the overtime, it was less than a minute. I mean,
30 seconds.
That whole place just, you could have heard a pin drop there. Nobody really cared about who the 3 stars of the game were and everything. But for the Bruins, Tuukka Rask did play very well. He stopped 30 of 33 shots, and the Bruins had goals in the second period. They had one by Luch on a nice setup from Eriksson, and then 28 seconds later, Bruins rookie defenseman Joe Morrow, he shot a wrister that beat Fleury to make it 2-1 Bees. However, the Bruins got the short end of the stick again as far as like the referee calls. They had 2 more goals,
2 goals
waved off. 4 in the last 5 games. The first one got called back right in the first period. Kevin Miller takes a shot from the point. Bergeron batted the rebound into the net. And then after they went to the situation room and then a group huddle, they felt that Bergeron had his stick too high. The closest referee called it a goal, and the 3 other officials who were further away called it no goal.
Right.
If anything, looking at the replay, I think that most people felt, and especially even Claude Julien said, it was inconclusive, and the goal should have stood.
Exactly, because if it's inconclusive, you can't change the decision on the ice. And like you said, the closest ref called it a goal.
Yeah. I get a kick out of these refs, okay? Now,
awful.
Now, okay, the linesmen cannot call any flagrant penalties, okay?
No.
But yet they can figure in on a goal where they weren't even near the play.
Right, they're up on the blue line.
Yeah, so, go figure that out.
Especially a stick call.
Right.
That's tough to judge from.
That is. And then in the third period, halfway through, the officials ruled that Carl Soderberg directed the puck into the net with his glove, and they called that no goal.
That was terrible, too.
Yeah, I mean, it looked to me more like it was an incidental thing. He didn't look like that he was intentionally batting it into
That was called no goal on the ice, but because the net came off, not because of the deflection.
Right.
And if you'll see the replay, the puck was in the net before it came off.
Right, exactly.
So they went to the off the body, which was a bunch of bull crap because it did look like the Penguin defenseman, I don't know who it was, knocked the puck off of his glove. So it was kind of, but there they went with inconclusive, and it stood. So they got tucked up their ass on those two goals that
Let's
night.
put it this way: one of those two should have been a goal.
One of
anyways,
them, yes.
You know,
still doesn't excuse blowing another lead.
No, exactly.
On your own ice again.
Yep. No, you're right. Yeah, Sidney Crosby had the other Penguin goal besides Malkin's two.
Again.
I mean, at least it was nice that the Bruins did get a point out of it.
Yes.
Luch played a real strong game again.
He looked good.
Yep. And Fleury, he became the third fastest goalie in 547 games and the third youngest at 29 years and 361 days to earn 300 victories. He stands in names such as Jacques Plante, Andy Moog, and also Brodeur and Sawchuk, who did it in fewer games.
Mr. Zero.
Yep, Mr. Zero.
You know, I'm noticing Alex Kolechev. Did I say it right?
Yep.
He had a 2 of any men on the ice penalty. You notice there's a lot of those this year.
Yeah, and that comes down to the coaches.
Yeah, I'm a extreme amount. A lot. I'm noticing them. There's almost one a game on a team.
Yeah,
I'm wondering what that's setting that trend. What's happening all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe we'll have to look into it. And if any of you viewers who are watching us has some insight on this, hey, forward us a message and let us know what you think.
Yeah, it's happening a little bit out of the ordinary here.
Right, exactly. And speaking of goalies, though, I see Martin Brodeur. He is actually going to be getting he just signed a year contract with the St. Louis Blues to take the place of Brian Elliott. Brian Elliott's out indefinitely with a knee surgery. So Brodeur signed he signed a $700,000 contract, but it's laced with all kinds of different incentives.
Right.
In fact, actually, I've got a paper on that. Just not to get off the subject, but at the same time, I mean, he is the all-time shutout king. But anyways, his contract it includes playing bonuses, among them $10,000 for every point the Blues earn with Brodeur in goal, as well as an undisclosed roster bonuses if he's on the NHL roster February 1st and March 1st, as well as playoff bonuses, according to the Blues general manager, Dougie Armstrong. According to ESPN.com's Pierre LeBrun, those roster bonuses are $125,000 for each month.
Ooh.
So that's not bad. Brodeur, he doesn't have a no trade clause, and he's going to be splitting time with that Jake Allen. Like I said, Brian Elliott recovers from knee.
Well, if anything,
injury.
he'll make a good goalie coach and mentor.
He can tutor that young Jake Allen. And Brodeur, he has an NHL record, 688 wins, 124 career shutouts that are first in the NHL history. He's won the Stanley Cup 3 times, the Calder in 93, 94, and the Vezina Trophy 4 times. And it was just 2 years ago that he led the New Jersey Devils into the Stanley Cup Finals.
Wow. Yep.
So I mean, there still may be some juice left in the old container there.
Change the scenery too.
Exactly. Plus the fact too, I mean, he's just going to be a fill-in for Jake Allen. But you know what? With the young rookie and stuff like that, it's nice to have somebody with veteran presence.
Well, hopefully, if we play him in the finals, we don't have a problem with him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, we can.
I wish they did that with all the players, that incentive clause, because I'll tell you, you'd see a different salary cap because the players would be playing for their salary rather than getting it before they played. And I know people will say, well, do you go to work and how many pieces of pipe I hang, being a pipe fitter, or how many boxes you pack? No, but people aren't paying admission to watch me work either.
Right, exactly.
It's a whole different, what do you call it there, scenario. But Anyway, it'd be interesting. In other words, if you get over 20 goals, I know some players do have them. They call them incentives for a reason.
Yeah, like making the All-Star team,
right.
and there's a lot of different incentive clauses. I know that. Who was it last year? Iginla, he signed for low money, but he had some incentive contracts,
Right.
Like scoring 30 goals.
And he played hard.
And playing in so many games.
Right.
So he was able to get all those to kick in for him. So it benefited well. But, yeah, you're right, Steve. I mean,
I guarantee you, if Lucic had part of his getting his year's salary this year was scoring over 30 goals, he'd have more than 5 or 6, whatever it is he has right now.
Right.
Guarantee you.
Yeah.
He'd be, you know what I mean? He'd be up there.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Because wave that money in there, and I'll tell you, they play harder.
Yeah, exactly. David Pastrnak, that was his first game.
Played great.
We thought he played great. I know even watching him, they put him with the top line in the third period, and he set up Marchand with a beautiful setup. The only problem was Marchand decided to come in a little bit closer, and he shot the puck, and Fleury made the save. But he looked good. Yeah, he did look good. So that was a nice sign.
Well, now that you're talking about Pastrnak, this is where I'm going to talk about Pastrnak, and I'm going to talk about the coach. We're already seeing he has to tighten up on his defense. Enough with the damn defense. I don't want a team of Bergerons. We already got rid of goal scorers. We already lost Kessel, right?
Yeah.
And who else? Sagan.
Yeah.
And if you want to get really technical, how about Blake Wheeler, who I always thought was a decent player, but they gave up on him because he wasn't playing enough defense.
Right.
You can't have a team full of forwards playing defense. You need to score goals, and this team isn't scoring any damn goals right now. They're getting 38 to 40 shots a game or more, and they're getting 2 goals. Let the kid play. Let the kid skate. Let the kid score. Let the other guys play defense. Come on, Julian.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, like Phil Esposito used to say, hey, they don't pay me to block shots. They pay me to put the puck in the net.
Enough of this. He's ran off every scorer on the damn team.
Yeah.
That they've ever had. Sagan gone. Kessel gone.
Yeah.
Who else? Bergie's still there because he's a good defensive forward.
Right.
Lucic, I think that's half Lucic's problem. He don't know whether to play defense or forward when he has the puck.
Exactly.
He's petrified out there.
Yeah.
Let the guy score goals, Julian. All right.
All right, Claude. You heard it from Stevie here, okay?
Merry Christmas.
All right, Merry Christmas. Yeah.
How was that, Don Cherry? Pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Don Cherry, Mike Milbury.
Where's
right
my
up
suit?
there.
I got to get a ganged up. Yeah, Mike Milbury.
Right.
In his non-fighting reports.
Yeah. And then the Bruins.
I need a Coke.
Yeah, there you go. Take a little sip there. And
Pepsi.
then the Bruins played the Winnipeg Jets on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And we had discussed this last week on why was this an evening game instead of an afternoon game. Well, the Celtics
are going to get me going again, are you?
Yeah, I'm gonna. The Celtics played, and they played the early game for some reason, even though that the Bruins owners own the Garden and all this stuff like that. They decided that the Celtics were going to play. Well, what happened was the Celtics game got over late, and then they were in a real hurry-up mode with that Bull crew to convert over. So by the time they converted it, the game was at 7 o'clock. They didn't have enough time to really prep the ice the way they wanted to. So it was a real rough ice surface for both teams, Stevie.
Yep. And you know what? Even if it didn't go that long, they would have had issues. You can't do it that way, and they found out the hard way. They broke a tradition where the games were always played the Friday after Thanksgiving. It was a big family event. If you didn't have to work, the fathers and mothers got the kids. They all went into the game. They wore their pajama uniforms for the kids.
Right.
And it was always a good tradition. For some reason this year, they had to change it. Somebody would have brainstormed, let's put the Celtics on. Well, guess what? It didn't work out. Keep the Bruins on during the day and put the Celtics on at night. And never mind what the national TV stations start to say, because the Bruins started the tradition of Friday hockey after Thanksgiving. Nobody else did, okay? So NBC, don't worry about it. You don't want to broadcast them? Don't. We want to see them on Friday after Thanksgiving during the day, all right? All right.
And and thanks a lot, by the way. I'd end up shopping all afternoon on Black Friday because we knew that the Bruins game wasn't going to be on until 7 o'clock.
And he had to shop all day.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't happy.
No, me either.
Wasn't. Exactly. But anyways, the Bruins the Jets' second overtime game in a row. And this time it was kind of tough because at the end of regulation, Brad Marchand took a real bad double minor penalty. He got the stick right in the Winnipeg player's face.
Here I go again.
Yep. So anyways, but luckily they were able to kill off the penalty, and with just a little bit over a minute to go in the overtime period, Carl Soderberg, who had another strong game with 2 assists, he made a nice cross-ice pass to Dougie Hamilton, who just buried the shot over former Bruin farmhand and Jets goalie Michael Hutchinson, by the way, who played a great game.
Oh, what a game.
He buried it over his blocker to give the Bruins a much-needed 2-1 victory at the TD Garden.
Yeah, he stopped everything but the trains in North Station that day.
Exactly. But, I'll tell you what, this Winnipeg team is very different now. They seem to be a much-improved team, very fast team.
Reminded me of the Canadians a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, for the first 2 periods, Hutchinson, he pretty much saw everything he saved.
Right.
That was the problem. The Bruins had a couple of good power plays. They put some pressure on, but no goal. But then in the third period, Hamilton over to Luch, drop back to Soderberg, and then Luch directs Soderberg's pass past Hutchinson to tie it early in the third.
Right.
And the Jets' lone goal came in the first period. They were the first ones to score. It was a power play goal with Erickson in the box. Bufflin, he blasted one that deflected off of Bartkowski's leg and into the net. After that, Tuukka was the story, turning away 35 shots, and the Bruins gave him a little breather in OT as they only allowed 1 shot on net. The Bruins' shot totals, this is kind of, how often does this happen? They were 11, 11, and 11. So they had 11 shots in every period, and then they had 5 in the overtime for 38 shots
38,
total. Yeah. But,
I went to Quincy school system. Sorry about that math.
Pasternak looked really good in this game too.
Yeah.
I mean, his second game, he had 7 shots on net. He had a couple of turnovers, and like they said, maybe a few too many dekes. But you know what? He showed his great stick skills, and he maintained position of the puck in tight areas, and he showed little fear out there for a young guy. And I guess,
he didn't take no crap either.
Exactly. And I guess the nickname for him that they're calling him Pasta.
Pasta, huh?
Pasta. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Very good.
Very good.
But anyways, he threw the pucks at the net. He got 7 shots on net, and the Bruins, they've won. They've got a streak now versus the Jets and Thrashers organizations in 13 games played at the TD. The last win, that franchise had against the Bruins was on 3/31/7. So the Bruins have won 13 straight games against the Thrashers. And remember too, until last season, until they became the Winnipeg Jets, the Bruins had to play them 4 times a year.
Yeah, right.
And even when they were in Winnipeg, they hadn't made the conference change, and they were still playing them 4 times a year. But, I'll tell you what, Tuukka, tell me, Stevie, did he look like that Vezina Trophy winner of last year?
Yep. He was, both goalies were right on.
Yeah, right.
In that third period, that
was like playoff
and
hockey.
Down playoff after the first 5 minutes of that, about the 17 minutes left of the period. That thing just opened up, and they were back and forth, back one end of the ice, end to end action. Even Jack Edwards was going crazy over it. But I'd love to see more games like that.
Yeah,
that was exciting.
Right.
And like you were saying, two goalies out there, they're stopping everything. Up one end, bang, save Ras, down the other end, bang.
Yeah,
it was outstanding.
Tuukka, and when they had to kill off that power play that Winnipeg had because of Marchand, Tuukka, he made some great stops, and he even cleared the puck himself.
Right.
So
he did. He made that was a good heads-up clear too, because it definitely broke up a lot of that pressure start would have been starting. And let me tell you about Marchand. Brad, enough for the cheap crap. He's got 28 penalty minutes this year, and most of them for cheap crap. I haven't even looked up how many double, minors or majors or whatever infractions. But enough. Play hockey. Never mind the junk. You're too good. You could be scoring 30 to 50 goals if you'd play hockey, knock off the cheap crap. Enough.
Yeah.
Play the game. You're unbelievable. The talent is just immense, and you can't use it sitting in the box.
Yeah. And, and then taking double minors on top of that.
Right.
And you're
and jeopardizing your team.
Yeah, you're trying to at least get into overtime to get a point here. And like I said, they were very fortunate.
And that was a selfish penalty you took there, and you got to knock that crap off, all right? Don't make me come down there.
Yeah. I mean, I think your Pee Wee coach told you to keep that stick down.
Keep it down.
Probably all the other coaches did, too.
And, I like the way you mix it up after the whistles and you get in there. That's a Bruin.
Right.
And we love that. But we don't want the cheap crap. No more Kenny Linsman and all that. We don't like that stuff. Oh, what was the guy in Edmonton? Klima, right? Was he dirty? Hate them guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Hate them guys.
Yeah.
And even Patrice Bergeron, 22 penalty minutes. In one way, that's good. No Lady Bing for you this year, Val.
Yeah, still
knocking the Lady Bing list.
Still knocking on the door for the Selke.
Yeah, he'll be there on that one.
I think Luch leads the Bruins with 47 penalty minutes, but
at least he's leading in something.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a lot of fights. But
I'll bring him up in the next game.
Yeah, but speaking of Luch, though,
he is looking good.
I will say that at least he's overcome a little bit not playing alongside David Krejci.
Right, he has.
He seems to be clicking a little bit with Soderberg and Eriksson, and these are all pretty big guys too.
Yeah, he's finding his niche.
Luch is 6'3", Soderberg 6'3", and Eriksson is 6'2". And in the offensive zone, these guys are all very speedy. So, these guys, like Luch said, he's driving to the net more, and he's getting in there in position to pick up anything loose.
Right.
So, and he also said, too, that in this new line, they're just trying to keep it simple. They're trying to play north and south to create chances. And but he said when they start playing east-west and doing the dipsy doodle, and here comes the turnovers.
Right.
So they've got to keep that adjustment going.
Like I think it was a Winnipeg game. He started some stick handling at the faceoff circle, and he started working his way toward the blue line, making too many moves, and then on the backhand part of the stick handle, whoop, right outside the zone. And even Jack Edwards said he deked and dapped too many times,
Right, exactly.
And then when we get to the giveaway last night that cost him the game.
Yeah. Hey, as Matt Foley, a.k.a. Chris Farley, would say on Saturday Night Live, hey, let me take off my glasses. Do I see, is that Patrick Kane out there?
Yeah.
And then Claude Julien turns around and goes, well, actually, we've encouraged it. And then Matt Foley turned around and goes, you know what, Claude? I just wish sometimes you just shut your yapper.
We'll have to rehearse that next time and do a dialogue.
Yeah, there we go.
Is my face red from the lighting, or am I just mad today?
I think you're just mad. You get a little bit
fired up. I got to
little fired up there.
Take my Geritol a little more before these things. My Don Cherry act.
Yeah, there you go. But we just need to get blue.
Yeah.
Or maybe a stuffed blue.
You read my mind. We need a stuffed blue, folks.
Yeah.
We need you to comment on our damn page. Even if you make fun of us. Put something down there.
We do appreciate the responses, and as far as people watching it, we've had quite a few more viewers. So
yeah, on the Bees Buzz last week on the Facebook page, we got over 200 views, which was good. I don't know why we're not getting likes on YouTube or likes even on the Facebook unless it's set up so you can't like it. I don't know.
Yeah, but we're just glad that everybody's
keep watching.
Keep watching. Like I said, we're going to try to if you haven't caught up on your Bruins news or you've been busy working or whatever with the family, especially around the holidays, we're going to try to catch you up on what's going on and keep you.
And then maybe his kid will get us on NBC out there in that Chicopee.
Right, in Chicopee, yeah, exactly. We'll be the new hockey hit wonders of Channel 22.
I don't know if I could take that ride with my back, though. I'd probably have to stop in Marlboro overnight.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We can handle it.
But, hey, the Bruins went 8-3-1 in November, which was really considering with the injuries, you had Chara and then Krejci was out, and then, Miller was out for a little bit and came back. Not bad.
You know what I like is these kids are learning. Like I said, this is the year for the rookies, and I tell you, we're building some character and some depth.
Yep. But last night, against the Ducks. The Bruins fell a little short on this one as the Ducks edged the Bruins 3-2 at the Honda Center. Hard checking first period, both teams. The Bruins got on the board halfway through the second period. David Pastrnak got his first NHL point, passed it off to Marchand, who snapped it in from the slot to make it 1-0 Bruins. But unfortunately, they couldn't hold that lead very long because a little bit less than a minute later, the Ducks tied it when defenseman Sami Vatanen, and I'm going to say that correctly, that's a Finnish pronunciation because I know that there's still some Finns here in Quincy and around Massachusetts, so it's Vatanen, Sami Vatanen.
That's right.
He put in a rebound past Tuukka, and then the Bruins had a great opportunity to score a goal. Joe Morrow had just got out of the penalty box, and he came in on a breakaway.
And he beat him.
And he had Anderson beat, but unfortunately he just couldn't get the puck up high enough, and Anderson just got a piece of it with his pad to deny the Bruins of a goal.
We are seeing some good goaltending games.
Yes, yeah.
It's not as bad as it is with the scoring, however.
Right. But then late in the second period, Devontae Smith-Pelly. That's three names, Devontae Smith-Pelly, yeah. He blasted
That's a name that's hard to finish.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, hard to finish, yeah. But he blasted one from the point, past the screen, Tuukka Rask. And, I'll tell you what, the refs missed this one, too. That Smith-Pelly, he was grabbing Bartkowski's stick right before the shot.
Right.
It should have been a penalty and no goal.
Right.
Then early in the third period, the Ducks scored the game winner. Getzlaf wins the faceoff in the Bruins' end, and then Matt Bolesky, he roofed it on the right side of the net to give the Ducks a 3-1 lead. Halfway through the third, the Bruins made it close, 3-2, as Daniel Paille, he worked his way around the back of the net, came over and passed it out to Simon Gagne, who was wide open, put it past Anderson to close the gap to 1. The Bruins pulled Tuukka at the end. Lush had a nice opportunity to tie it up, but Anderson, who, like we said, he played very well. He was the story. He made the stop, one of his 32 saves to help the Ducks to victory. Tuukka played solid, turning away 25 shots. That late lapse in the second, though, when the Ducks scored, that's a tough one to overcome. Bruins, other than that, they really outplayed the Ducks. They beat them in the face-off circle, 53 to 47. Gregory Campbell was 9 for 13 at 69%. That bested Kessler, who was the Ducks' best. He was 7 for 12 with 58%. Both teams roll for 3 in the power play, and so far this year in back-to-back games, the Bruins are 0-4-0 on second night.
That's what I was just gonna say. They play tonight back-to-back out there, but where they're on the road, maybe we'll have a good result.
Yeah.
And they're pissed from last night's loss.
Right.
That everything was happening on that Devontae Smith-Pelly. Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But you needed a lawyer on all the stuff that was going on in that one between screening the play, holding sticks. Lucha gave the puck up, of course, but that doesn't mean it should have been a goal, and that happens all the time. But I'm not blaming Luke for the goal, but again, he did give the puck up while he had it in his possession. It could have been getting it out of the zone.
Yeah. I mean, they had plenty of. Even Claude said afterwards. He said, he goes on that last gun. He goes, we had plenty of opportunities to clear that puck.
Yeah,
and we just couldn't get it out.
And they couldn't get it out. But again, that's why you got a goalie, and you shouldn't have been having the stick held either. But hey, that's the way the puck bounces, and
exactly.
We'll hopefully get them tonight against. Are you ready for
against the L.A. Kings?
There we go.
Yeah. Well, the L.A. Kings.
Up-and-comers. Up-and-coming games.
The two-time Stanley Cup champs here, and they just won the Cup again last year. And that game's at 10:30 tonight, not 10 o'clock. So, in actuality,
that means I got to miss Sons of Anarchy? You kidding me? And it's not the season final, but it's like a 2-hour one.
Well, once you DVR.
DVR.
There you go.
stevieD for around my house here.
Okay.
stevieD VR. You get it?
DVR. I like that.
Oh, that's all right. I like that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, get back to hockey.
All right. But anyways, yeah, and it's not a couple of the Bruins players were saying, as far as like this being a back-to-back, it's really not that bad because, it's not too often you do a back-to-back where you hop in a bus and you travel 45 minutes down the road and then you stay at another hotel and relax.
45.
So that's actually one advantage
along
I think
the water.
that they have. Yeah, exactly.
Along the West Coast Pacific Ocean.
Yep. So far, the Kings, they're fourth place in the Pacific at 29 points. They've scored 64 goals, and they've let up 53. They're 5-2-3 in their last 10 games. Home, they've played very well. They're only 10-2-1 on the road. They're 2-4-4. Their top scorers, Tyler Toffoli, he's 9-10-19. Jeff Carter, 7-11-18. Drew Doughty, he's 2-11-13. And Jared Stahl and Dustin Brown and Anze Kopitar, so far, they're off to very slow starts.
Right.
Jonathan Quick, he's played very well again. He's 10-4-4 with a 2.22 goals against average, and his backup is Martin Jones at 2-2-1 with a 1.68. Now, as far as like tonight, Stevie, you think the Bruins are going to go back with Tuukka, or you think they're going to go with Svedberg?
I see Svedberg in there because who they play on Thursday?
They're playing San Jose on Thursday.
Yeah, so I with Joe Thornton and firepower there, they may go with Rask, and I'd keep Rask in all week.
I would too,
and get him used to these back-to-back games.
I would too, because you know what? I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this game on Thursday. Okay, getting into San Jose.
I'd keep him all week.
Yep, they're fifth place in the Pacific right now. Okay, and they've got they're 10-10-4 with 24 points. Now they've scored 62 goals and they've given up 66. And right now, they've gotten off to a slow start at home.
Right.
They're only 2-4-2 at home. However, they're 8-6-2 on the road. And they're 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. And the Bruins have already beaten them once this year at the TD. So it would be nice to see a season sweep. Joe Thornton, he's their leader right now with 7 goals, 13 assists for 20 points. Defenseman Brett Burns, he's 7-12-19. You got Pavelski and Couture. They have 19 points. Marlowe's got 18 points. So far as their goaltending goes, Antti Niemi hasn't had a very stellar season. So far, he's 7-7-3 with a 2.49 goals against average. And their backup, Alex Stalock, he's 2-2-1 with a 2.38 goals against average. So I'll tell you what, I'd kind of like to see Antti Niemi play against them. But, that's where I would think that, if they go back-to-back with Tuukka, they should be able to put Svedberg in there because, because even though the Bruins haven't been scoring an awful lot of goals, with this defense of San Jose's, they should be able to materialize with something.
Right, and like I said, I'd like to see Tuukka get into the back-to-backs because he needs to get, in mid-season shape now. This baby and him along this year isn't going to cut it.
Right, and then the road trip ends on Saturday when the Bruins they go to play the Arizona Coyotes. It's not Phoenix anymore. It's Arizona.
Okay.
And that'll be at 8 p.m. on Nesson. And so far this year, they're 9-11-3 with 21 points. They're sixth place in the Pacific Division. And this is another team, too. Goals for, 57. Goals against, 71. And they're 4-4-2 at home, and they're 5-7 on the road. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. And some of their stars, Anton Vermette, he's 6-10-16. Keith Yandel, 3-13-16. Shane Doan, he's got 15 points. Bodker and Smith, they both have 17 points.
Well, they're a highly penalized team.
Yeah. Goalie Mike Smith so far in 17 games, he's 4-11-2 with a 3.26 goals against average.
Yeah.
And
a lot of minuses on their plus-minus, too.
Yeah. Divon Dubnyk, he's their backup, and he's actually played much better. His goals against is 2.34. So, and that Mike Smith, I mean, he's always been a pretty decent goalie. He's gotten off to a pretty rough start.
Yeah, he's there's no concrete goaltender on that team right now.
No, definitely not.
And I'm looking for. I don't see any missing old Bruins here. No return players.
No.
But so the West Coast trips are always interesting. It's good for the players. They used to have that. We talked about this before, that one in the beginning of the year, which they had like a 3-game this year.
The Bruins,
when the circus would come in.
The circus would
this
come in.
This is probably Disney on Ice for the Christmas season.
Something
gets in
like
or
that.
something. But they usually get with all these rookies playing now. Pasternak, I'm glad he made the trip. This is when they'll probably pull their little rookie pranks on them and initiations, and it's when the character and the what's that word? I mean, chemistry. When that chemistry starts coming in a bond, and hopefully they come back a different team, because a lot of time these road trips they mold the team together.
Yeah,
they spend a good week on the road and they bond, and it's great. It's what a team needs, especially with this busy schedule, these back-to-back games. They're traveling a lot.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Then after that last game on Saturday, then they have most of the next week off, and they don't play until Thursday. What's the date on that?
I'm just fucking with you. Sorry.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It's the old
Thanks
garden.
for the memories, the old garden puck.
The garden puck.
Yep, exactly. But anyways, then they don't play again, I think, until is it the 13th of December at home against the Chicago Blackhawks. So they've got a little bit of a respite in between then.
I was pucking around. I'm behind over
here. Yeah,
you.
you were just pucking around.
Yes, they come home against the Blackhawks Thursday the 11th, 7 p.m.
Okay.
And then they've got the Ottawa Senators Saturday at 1, it looks like, which I love them 1 o'clock games on Saturday. They weren't the best things for the team as far as wins, but they've been doing pretty good in them this past couple of years. But I know in the past, oh my God, every time they played a Saturday afternoon game, see ya.
Yeah, right.
Not that they were out drinking Friday night or anything, but
on this road trip, I mean, it would be so nice if they could. Me and Stevie were talking about this, and we were really hoping for at least a 3-1 road trip here.
Yeah, if they split it, now we'll be happy. And they didn't get a point last night, did they?
No, they did not.
They were 30 seconds from it.
Yeah, they fell a little short.
Another giving up a goal at the end of the period, the end of the game.
Yeah.
That's got to stop.
I certainly hope.
Unacceptable.
So. Yep.
It is, seriously. That's unacceptable.
It is.
Too much of that. End of the game, end of the period.
Right.
It's like they figure, there's only a minute left. Let's just coast around. The other team ain't going to do nothing. No, but score the goal and win or tie the game.
Right. And last year, when the Bruins went on this road trip, they lost against Anaheim and Los Angeles, and then they beat San Jose, and they beat Arizona. Well, then it was Phoenix, So
right.
I'd really like to see them, and I'll tell you what, I'd like to see them at least take at least 1 point in the next 3 games.
Yeah.
Whether it be, if they end up with going into overtime tonight, at least they'll get a point there. It'd be great to see the 2, but there's no excuses for not beating San Jose and Arizona at all, because both of these teams are not playing very well,
and they're right for the picking.
And they give up an awful lot of goals. So Come on, Bees, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Even if we put Svedberg in net. Let's go. Let's start scoring some goals. That's part of the reason you're giving up late goals, is because you're sitting on defense trying to just wear the game out. You can't.
Right.
I mean, you got to play defense, but let's show some forechecking. Let's get up there and play some forward play. All this defense crap's driving me crazy. I'm going to start cheering for the Blackhawks. I ain't going to cheer for the Blackhawks.
No, I hope not.
Unless the Bruins are eliminated.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right. Then I can see that.
All right.
Right.
I'm back again.
If you want to root for them in the Western Conference to win and the Bruins to win in the Eastern, that's all right.
You know who I do like, and don't start throwing things at me? Well, you can start throwing things at me. Is I really like, my second favorite team on the Eastern Division is Tampa Bay Lightning.
Oh,
they're fun to watch. I've been watching them on the center ice, and You know, their crowd's great. When I went down there, I had a ball.
Oh yeah, Stevie. That's when
Yeah.
first time we ever met was
first time I met him when I was sober.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right.
I was partially anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did meet you at a few parties here in
Parties
Quincy.
here and there in Quincy, right?
But I remember we met at one of the Bruins
I met your
playoff
wife
games
and
down at
your son, right?
down in Tampa. Yeah, and I'll tell you what a great setup that is. How about Stevie when you get there, they have like a carnival atmosphere outside.
Oh, it's great.
And then once the game starts, right? Whoever doesn't go into the game, they show the games on this big, humongous projection screen. It's like you're at a movie theater. You know, I mean,
it's unbelievable. Outside, it's 70 degrees. Well, we were there in June anyway.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, I can imagine being there like now for a game. It's like 70 degrees, and you're out there in the middle of December waiting for hockey.
Right.
And the Bears, they give you these giant 265-ounce Coors Lights, you see. They get me through the first face-off anyway. They give me these, I think they're 20-ounce plastic bottles, Coors Light. And it was funny, me and Mike buys the spring water. They wouldn't let Mike in with the spring water, but they let you in with the beer. Because they want you to buy the, they know you paid a lot for the beer, you can bring it in. But they were like, I think, $11, but they were 20-ounce, these big plastic bottles. They were great.
Right.
You'd imagine giving them away in the garden? Forget about it. They'd be all over the ice.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
But they just, they're crazy there.
Yeah, and what's funny is, they do pretty well capacity-wise, right?
Oh, yeah.
They don't sell out every game, but I'll tell you what, when the Eastern teams
do better than the baseball team.
Yes, they do a lot better than the baseball team because they're in the city. But anyways, when the Eastern teams get down there, they do an awful lot better, especially, too, when the weather gets warmer. Like I said, especially, too, if it's a playoffs, that you can make a vacation out of it, because that's basically kind of like what we did. But anyways, when we were watching the game with our seats, right, we actually technically had, obstructed view because what happened was they have the banners up high, and it's covering the first couple of rows when it hangs down as far as seeing the scoreboard goes.
Oh, that's terrible.
So we could see the game, but we couldn't see the scoreboard, or any of the replays or anything like that. But another thing that I thought was very funny was they have a picture of, they have a statue, one of those bronze statues like here at Bobby Orr. They have one of Phil Esposito in a businessman suit because he was the one that got the franchise going down there.
He was the founder.
He was the founder. So anyways, I said to my wife, hey, can you take a picture of me in front of the Phil Esposito statue, right? So she's taking a picture of me, and I'm there with my Bruins jersey, right? And so a couple of Bruins fans was standing there, and they were probably in their mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s, right? And one of them said to me, hey, who's that? Why are you having your picture taken with that guy? And I turned around and I said, well, this guy, I said, is Phil Esposito. I said, he's second all time in the Bruins goal-scoring leaders, won 5 or 6 Hart trophies and MVP
2 Stanley
trophies.
Cups, should have been more.
Scored, 2 Stanley Cups, scored over 700 goals, I said. And then the guy turns to, I didn't realize that was Phil Esposito. And I said, I said, he started hockey right here in Tampa.
Yeah, they got a good fan base. They had they pile the Zamboni ice snow, in front of the stadium to let the kids play with it.
Yeah.
And they put up a big cardboard cutout, life-size, of Chara. So I went over there, and I was throwing the snowballs at them, and the little kids come up and said, how come you're... I had a Bruins shirt on, obviously, not like that, but like a T-shirt. And they said, how come you're throwing that at Chara? I said, because I hate him. I didn't hate him, but back then I was a little, I wasn't one of his biggest fans. It was when he was having them, even though they went to the Cup.
Yeah.
He just drove me crazy that year. I'm like, I can't stand him. And the kids got a kick out of it. And I won one that just missed his head. And the kids would go all interested. They're like, wow, you really do hate him. And I'm like, I really don't. But so we had a ball down there. And the fans, like I say, then Brickley, my first game, remember it was 2 games we went to, Thursday and Saturday?
Right.
The Thursday game, right where we were sitting was where the players came out. And Brickley come out and was getting ready to talk against the glass. They were setting up the Nesson cameras. And I see Brick all the time, and I have a few beers with him if he's available, And anyway, I seen him, and I says, hey, Rick. And he's looking at me like, oh, how you doing? And I ran down. I go, Stevie, me from so-and-so. And he's, oh, yeah. And he's probably saying to himself, oh, boy, not this nut, But he actually come over and he talked to me, and he remembered me, knew who I was, said hi and my name, and shook my hand. And so the joke is now when I go to this establishment and see anybody from his family, like, oh, you're the guy that horrified my husband. So it was really nice trip down there. But I do like the team. I like the way they're playing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they are. They're playing very, very well right now.
But back to our Bruins. Yeah, still can't beat the old Garden and the old Bruins. And me and G. Hikes here have been watching them since the late 60s. And you still got my scrapbook that you're putting together.
Yes, yeah.
A little video that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to try to take Stevie's got this great scrapbook that he took all newspaper clippings and magazine clippings from the 69-70 season, all the way starting with Ted Green's injury in the exhibition game when Wayne Mackey clobbered him over the head with his stick, all the way up to when Bobby Orr scores his fabulous goal. Yeah, exactly.
Goal.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I put that together with my sister's boyfriend.
Yeah. Well, you guys did a great job, and what I'd like to do is we want to get it on a CD and then convert it into a DVD and try to use the Bruins the Goal Bruins record that was narrated and broadcasted by Don Earl to go along with the pictures.
Honestly, I think you can. I think almost everything but the Derek Sanderson off the face-off, he scores.
He scores. Well, we'll see if we can get there's got to be a picture of Derek in there.
Yeah,
so that's
actually,
all we really need.
I think there's a picture of him taking a face-off, but I don't think it's the one he scores on. It could be.
But I know that there's one part where Don Earl, they're playing the Flyers in an afternoon game in Philadelphia, and he turns around and he says, Perron is doing an adagio to keep that puck out of the net. And I believe in that scrapbook, there's a few pictures of the Bruins taking some shots on Perron and Perron making a save.
And when the bench clear with,
was it the Rangers in the playoffs?
No, with Tony Esposito and Sanderson.
With Tony Esposito and Sanderson.
Orr and Hull.
Yeah, Orr and Hull. yeah.
That's in there.
Yeah.
So that one will go. There's a lot. I honest to God, it'll be a great thing if we can put it together.
Well, and what we'd like to do is we'd like to actually have it ready by May 10th on 2015 because that's going to be the 45th anniversary of that goal that was scored. The goal in the fourth game of the Stanley Cup Finals against the St. Louis Blues in overtime, less than a minute, and Bobby Orr goes flying through the air. Imagine that, Steve.
Never forget that day, as long as I live.
45 years ago. That's hard to believe.
I was outside between the overtime period, third and the overtime, playing with a tennis ball. It was a warm Sunday afternoon, Mother's Day, as we all know. And I had the tennis ball and hockey stick, firing it off the fence, and I'm saying, Bobby Orr scores, the Bruins win the cup, right? And my mother comes out, yells, the game's getting ready to start. Get in the house. I was 9. And I'm, okay, Ma, I'll be in. Bobby Orr scores, and I'm, woohoo, all by myself out there having the ball, winning the cup. And then my mother's like, Steven, they're getting ready to start. And I go in, I'm all sweaty. I'm telling you, I just sat down. They dropped the puck, and the rest is history.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Just never forget it.
Yeah. And it's funny. I remember that day as well. I was a year younger than you, Stevie. I was only 8, but I remember we watched the whole game, and my father used to work for Northeast Airlines, right? So, anyways, he had to be into Logan Airport like 2 hours before the flight, because one of his jobs was to check out the plane mechanically and make sure that it's set to fly.
Wow.
So my father never was late for anything like that. He was always there in time. Well, anyways, he watched the Bruins game, third period, comes and goes. The game's tied. It's going to go to overtime. So he takes a shower, gets on his uniform, and he turns around, and we're all in the living room, and he stands there, right, and he says, he goes, I can only watch this game for 1 minute, he goes, and then I got to go. And he didn't mean that he was going to hang around more than a minute.
Right.
It was going to be 1 minute, and he's out the door, right? Well, anyways, so the Bruins scored in less than a minute. Bobby Orr scores, right, and the next thing you know, we're all jumping up and down in the room. My father gives my mother a kiss, which is what he did before he left on a flight, right?
Yep.
And then bang, he was out the door and onto Logan Airport. But I was there like, I'm glad he was able to see that and not have to listen to it on the radio.
And that one whistled wide. Horry for the Bruins, tied up by Ecclestone and Berenson. Westfall rolled it in front. Sanderson tried a shot that was wide, and Keenan cleared it but not out. Bobby Orr behind the net to Sanderson. To Orr! Bobby Orr scores, and the Boston Bruins have won the Stanley Cup.
Me and you were talking about this. That may not have happened if it wasn't for Sinden breaking the rules and putting Sanderson's line out there.
Yeah, well, that was the whole thing. Espo wanted to be out there because he figured, hey, I'd love to score that goal, right? But what Sinden wanted to do was he wanted to put Sanderson's line out there to stop a score right off the get-go from St. Louis. And, and then, like I said, it worked out very well where Sanderson twice took shots that were wide. And then Bobby Orr got the puck, moved it into Sanderson behind that, and then out to Orr. He scores!
And as Orr will say, he took a risk on going in for that, going deep like that. Back then, they didn't call it pinching, which they call it now when the defenseman pinches in. But, that's exactly what he did. Yeah. And it was a big risk. Most guys would not have made that play.
And
like I say, it's history.
Yeah, exactly. And then Noel Picard, the Blues defenseman, tripped him right as soon as he scored the goal.
And there's the greatest sports photo ever.
Yeah, exactly. Bobby Orr flying through the air, which now that's out in front of the TD
I
Garden.
apologize for not knowing his name, the famous sports photographer. But
was it Fitzgerald? I think that took
it
that
may have
picture.
been a Fitzgerald, I mean, there are other photos from different angles, but
there's that Steve Babineau,
which is similar.
He's famous though, but he didn't come on this. He didn't come on the scene until like 1972 or 1973.
Right, and if you notice, there's another. Even the posters they sell, you'll notice mine's up there. One of the pictures he's flat, and the other one was taken a split second sooner. He's at more of a 45 or 22 degree angle when he first got tripped. And you'll know there is two pictures of that.
Yeah.
But I think it's from the same photographer. He just clicked the rapid. But supposedly he went down there between overtimes. And he said, I want to be behind the net the Bruins are shooting at in case they score. I want to get a picture of the goal.
Yeah.
Little did he know that the photographer that was sitting right against the glass got up and left and never came and didn't come back. He must have went somewhere. He must have been a St. Louis photographer, went down the other end.
Yeah, right.
So this guy took his spot, and again, the rest is history.
Yeah.
So a lot of things happen that.
And like I said, and back in those days, there was no digital, so it's like you had to have like the click right away. It was just it was timing.
And you
That's
better
what it
develop
came down
that.
to.
You better develop that picture.
Yeah, to make sure that it came out. Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? I don't think you could have taken those pictures with today's cameras unless they have the automatic. What do you call it? The speed.
Yeah, the shutter
speed thing. I don't know. I can't think of the name of it, and I used to have one on my Olympus. But anyway, the another thing about that game. So what did we say? You were 8, I was 9. Let's use 5 as the limit.
Okay.
So anybody 5 years old, that would mean they'd be 50. Here I go with my math again. They'd be I'm 54, so they'd be 49. Correct?
Right.
Would that make sense? Anyway, let's use 50. Anybody you meet in Boston that's a Bruins fan, that's not so much 50 or over, but older guys that are maybe now in their 60s and 70s that you meet in the bar, they were at that game.
Yeah, everybody was at that game.
It held about, at the time, 16,000.
Well,
standing room only, maybe close to 17?
No, actually, the Boston Garden was 13,909.
That's right, the Garden was. Yeah, he's an encyclopedia, by the way, on more things than hockey.
I try to be at times, but...
I do with my memory. Yeah. I could tell you stuff like back in 1970, but I can't,
You know, it's funny.
But everybody went to that game.
Yeah, right.
There had to be, I know them all. I met them. I met every person who's been in that stadium. Yeah, everywhere I go, I was at that game.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was like when Ted Williams got his home run his last time up. Everybody was at Fenway Park.
Yeah, everyone was at Fenway.
But yet I think there was only like 17,000 people there or something like. It wasn't a sellout by any means, but
the other one, I didn't know they held that many people behind the net, but I've at least met at least 10,000 people that were behind the net right there when he scored, too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You got to love it.
Yeah. Just another thing about that Bobby Orr goal, okay? The last couple of years, in front of the Legends Club when you could still get in there. Okay, they used to have it set up where if you went down to where the front of the Legends Club is at the TD Garden,
Sports Museum was right there.
There was
big glass panel.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, anyways, they have a statue of Bobby Orr down there. They have a statue of Ted Williams, and they have a statue of Yastrzemski. Right. Well, anyways, they actually last year they had the net that Bobby Orr scored the goal on. And what happened was, get this, okay, a week after the Bruins won that Stanley Cup, okay, two teenagers, they were probably like in their late teens, one of them had a truck, right? They backed up right into the back of the Garden. They went in and they stole the net. So then what they did was they used the net for street hockey for the next like 36 years or whatever, right? And then what they did was one day they anonymously dropped it off at a spot where when
they were tearing down the Garden, probably.
I think it was a little bit after that. But anyways, what they did was, I think it was like either 2004 or 2005, something like that. They dropped it off at a spot and they let somebody from the Hall of Fame there at the TD know that was the net. And then what they did was they had the picture of the net. But, I mean, you could see it was all, like, rusted and stuff like that, but still in one piece. But that must have been, I don't know, personally myself, I don't ever think I could give that back. If I took it, it would still... Do you have
any bricks or anything?
Still be in. I have a brick of Fenway Park when they were doing renovations.
My cousin...
I don't have a garden brick.
My cousin Ed, he was a demolition guy. He was in the Globe. And it shows him taking a picture. And they're taking a picture of him taking a picture on his break. And the whole back part is wide open. And then you can see the seats it's unbelievable picture. But he was getting everything. And it got so bad that they told him, the guys, they'd be fired if they got caught giving out or taking a brick home. Well, luckily, before they did this, he got a ton of them. I've got 3 or 4 of them. I think they're all in my brother-in-law's garage in Norwell. But I've got a bunch of them. And I've got somewhere around, it's in this room somewhere. I've got a light bulb from the lights. The bulb's like this long. It's a big tube. And he was bringing me everything. He'd come into Bose and he'd say, "Here, Stevie, I brought you this." I mean, every day it was something else from the Garden. He couldn't get me a chair, unfortunately. But they actually, this kid came up, this little boy, and he's like, "Mister, please give me a brick. Please give me a brick." And my cousin's on the other side of the fence. And they had a guy there. He said, "You give him that brick, you're fired." And Eddie's like, "Come on, let me give the kid they would not let you give out of. Oh, it was brutal. And then they found a monkey that they don't know where it came from. That was in the paper. And, oh, man, there was all kinds of...
Must have been left from the circus.
From the circus. Must have crawled away. But it was the craziest thing when they tore that Garden down. Sad, sad time.
Yeah. And you know what's kind of funny about that was, the Bruins have a new practice facility that Reebok is building, and it's going to be on Com Ave. And so they're going to do one more season at the Rastusha Center, right? But anyways, they had initially thought of building that facility at that empty spot where the old Boston Garden was.
Right.
So it's like, I was thinking to myself, well, then why the heck did they even rip the old Garden down?
Right. Why'd they even take the other one out?
Yeah, instead they've been using
just
it for
like they rip out they take down schools, now they're rebuilding them.
Yeah, right.
I was just thinking of that Orr statue. I'm going to show you my little figure of him here. And see his skates blades?
Yep.
The sculpture didn't put... He put the new blades, the white. And I remember I made a big fuss about it. And
right.
Not because of me, but I think there was an article in the paper where he explained why. He said because of the structure, if he'd made the blades like this, it wouldn't have held the weight of the statue. I'm not buying it, but I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
And if you notice, even in this thing, the skate blades are way oversized. He could have done it like that.
Right.
But, in honesty to me, it kind of ruins the whole statue.
Yeah, a little
because
bit.
You're missing that middle.
Right.
But I understand why
Steve,
he did it.
Let's turn this around and see if we can get these guys to see this.
Let's
see. Wait 1 second. Yeah, if you can see the blades. Let's see if I can move them a little bit closer.
The old style.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. And and the whole thing too, like the boards and everything like that are very authentic looking. And
Yeah, no advertisements.
right, exactly.
The Dasher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And also too, by the way, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Bobby Orr never wore socks.
No, I got to get him to sign this.
He never wore socks with his skates.
No, he didn't like the feeling.
No, he didn't like the feeling of it.
He said it restricted his feet, and he tried it one day, and he loved it. And he never tightened his skate step. He just left them fairly loose. I mean, I think if he could have left them untied, he would have. It wouldn't have made a difference anyway.
Right, exactly. Yeah, those things were probably so broken in. Yeah. It was like, they just fit right to him.
And it makes you wonder how he would be skating. I mean, we've seen him back 15, 20 years ago in the newer skates. But it was those pickup games that he could barely even play. The charity games with Michael J.
Right.
Fox.
Yeah, I actually went to that.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. Yeah. He really couldn't play in that, but he did the best he could.
Yeah, he did. Because then after that, I remember he had to have another operation on his knee.
But I would have loved to see how he would have skated in these newer skates. They're like goalie skates.
Yeah, right.
They're solid plastic.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, too, with, let's say, Bobby Orr and even, especially Bobby Hull. I would have loved to have seen what they could have done shooting with these new composite sticks.
Oh, my God.
I wonder how many of those guys would have broken, too.
Bobby Hull had a 100-mile-an-hour slap shot in 1970. So
yeah, exactly.
He's the reason I like the Blackhawks. My first table hockey game. They didn't have an Orr one yet. It was a Bobby Hull one, and it came with a book and everything. And I just all of a sudden I was like, all Bobby Hull. And back then you couldn't watch the Blackhawks unless they were playing the Bruins. Oh my God! Exactly. If I had the resources I have now, I may have became a Black. But no way with Bobby Orr.
Or once in a while you'd luck out and the Hawks might be on the Sunday afternoon.
The Sunday game. Oh yeah, and I always cheered for them. But then my sister put a stop to that 2 years later, where she had a great job. She bought me the deluxe Bobby Orr game that had legs that folded out, and it had the scoreboard.
Yeah,
and you dropped the puck in it. And the puck had to go through like a clunk.
Yeah,
so
it
went
doom,
ba-doom.
And then
so it gave you time to get all situated. It was just, oh boy, the players.
It was the Rally Bobby Orr table hockey.
Table hockey, yeah. My mom got me my first straight blade skates for Bobby Orr rallies, which I only used. I used them on the pond, obviously.
Yeah. I always remember with our street hockey equipment, we used to have a combination of the Milik with the Phil and Tony Esposito stuff.
Oh, their stuff was junk.
But then we also we had the
Cooper was the way to go.
Yeah, we had the Bobby Orr Rally gloves though that we bought.
The Rally gloves were good.
The black and yellow ones that were really nice.
I was a kid. A Sunday morning, I couldn't sleep. It was a late, I think October, early November, cool fall morning. And I went down to the outdoor rink where our school was, and it was leaves all around the edges. And I just started running around, goofing around. And I think I brought my basketball. Anyway, I was walking, and I was kicking the leaves, and up blows a $10 bill. Now, this is like, I think, 1971. A $10 bill to a 11-year-old kid back
Probably
then.
Like around $50
Oh,
today.
my God, it was big money.
Yeah.
And I went to Coleman Sporting Goods, which was
right on Hancock
most
Street
expensive store, but there was nowhere else to go.
Right, and it
to get good stuff.
And it was good quality stuff.
And I bought a pair of those Rally gloves.
Yeah.
And I think I got not a Milik, but there was a Cooper that had the one you melted, the replacement blade.
Yeah.
The replacement, you call it. I think I got a couple of them. They were on sale, and I got a couple of I was like a kid in a candy shop with $10. I think I had like another $5 of my allowance money I brought with me, but I was like, oh my God, what a find that was.
Yeah.
But I bought them Bobby Orr Rally gloves, the first thing I snatched up.
Yeah. Yeah, I always remember using.
They look kind of like these.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit, except they had the Rally on.
Right, it said Rally
4.
with the 4 and his autograph, but it wasn't. Obviously, it was a print.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And how many kids their father got upset because they went to use their propane torch and it was like, hey, what happened to all the gas?
Yeah.
I used it to melt down my stick.
Yeah. We used to use the propane for the wooden stick with the fiberglass on it. And then the replacement you do on your gas stove.
You could do in the
I'd
gas
be out in the kitchen.
Too.
My father would be like, what the hell are you burning out there?
Yeah.
Just curving my stick, Dad. Then you step on it with your foot. You'd have a hook like this.
Yeah, right.
It looked more like a lacrosse stick.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have yourself a bona fide banana blade.
Banana hook.
Exactly.
Like Derek Sanderson had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, those were the days.
Yeah.
But back to reality. Anything else for the fans?
I think that's probably about it, Stevie. One thing I will mention is that Gordie Howe did have another stroke.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's it's unfortunate. I guess he's still, at least he's still, he can still comprehend what people are saying, and he understands what's going on, and I guess he can interact, but he still can't talk. But not a good sign for him having another stroke.
Right.
So.
And Pat Quinn died.
Yeah, Pat Quinn died, and Murray Oliver, too, who he played for a bunch of teams, including the Bruins and the Minnesota North Stars. He passed away as well.
So they're in the hockey rink arena in heaven, so God bless them, and hopefully Gordie Howe, God willing, Godspeed.
Yeah, well, he's one tough son of a gun.
Yeah,
so.
You never know with him.
Yep, exactly.
All right, then.
Anyways, well, hey, all you can say is let's start off tonight. Come on, Bruins.
Yeah, let's get a win tonight, score some goals,
Los Angeles Kings.
And let's get the champs, and we'll see you next week. Was our Christmas show next week? Maybe.
Yeah,
if not, the week after.
Right,
we'll see.
Exactly.
The Bruins have a good trip. All right. Go Bruins. Check us out on Facebook and Bees with Stevie D. And check out Bees Buzz with Stevie D on YouTube. Subscribe, like, and comment, please. Have a great time. Go Bruins.
See you next week.